How do you counter a country that is obsessed with expanding? How do you check China's game plan? America tried statements and sanctions. When neither worked, America, it seems, gave up. It is the 27th of May 2022. The Quad summit is just 3 days old, and America already seems to be extending an olive branch to China. Just listen to this.
This is a charged moment for the world. And at times like these, diplomacy is vital. It's how we make clear our profound concerns, better understand each other's perspective, and have no doubt about each other's intentions. We stand ready to increase our direct communication with Beijing across a full range of issues. And we hope that that can happen. But we cannot rely on Beijing to change its trajectory. So, we will shape the strategic environment around Beijing to advance our vision for an open, inclusive international system.
After criticizing Chinese aggression, after pledging to defend Taiwan against China, after batting for a free, open and inclusive Indo-Pacific, America suddenly wants to talk to China. What gives? If you listen to Blinken's address in its entirety, you will get the answers. The U.S. Secretary of State was addressing the George Washington University. He was all praises for China. He spoke about the power of China, the influence of China, the strength of China, how China is perfecting mass surveillance, and that's not it. The U.S. Secretary of State said China is a quote-unquote global power with extraordinary reach, influence and ambition. Makes one wonder whether Blinken was talking about an ally or aggressor. Of course, he did criticize China a little. Blinken called Beijing the most serious long-term challenge to international order. But he overcompensated for the statement by showering China with adoration. Listen to this.
China's transformation is due to the talent, the ingenuity, the hard work of the Chinese people. It was also made possible by the stability and opportunity that the international order provides. Arguably, no country on earth has benefited more from that than China.
What exactly is cooking here? Just earlier this week, the American leadership was in Tokyo pledging to work together with Quad partners to counter China. Australia, we know, is doing its bit. Like you just heard, their foreign minister is in Fiji. She's trying to check China's unsolicited outreach in the Pacific. India is doing its bit, checking Chinese troops in Ladakh. Japan is doing its bit, scrambling jets over the Sea of Japan. But America here seems to have become the weak link already. It is unilaterally extending an olive branch to the common foe. 3 days after the Quad summit, the U.S. wants to increase diplomacy with Beijing.
We don't seek to block China from its role as a major power, nor to stop China, or any other country for that matter, from growing their economy or advancing the interests of their people. But we will defend and strengthen the international law, agreements, principles, and institutions that maintain peace and security, protect the rights of individuals and sovereign nations, and make it possible for all countries, including the United States and China, to coexist and cooperate.
It is no wonder the world today is doubting America's reliability as an ally. In the last few months, Washington fanned the war in Ukraine and then backtracked. In the last week alone, America fanned the conflict in Taiwan, and now it is talking about cooperating with Beijing. What does the White House want? Blinken says America wants to put diplomacy at the center of its foreign policy. Well, good for them. But its leaders should then ask themselves whether American diplomacy is delivering. Blinken mentioned Russia during his address. He should be able to recall all the diplomatic channels the West opened with Russia, all the jetting in and jetting out in the weeks leading up to the war. What happened? Russia still invaded Ukraine. Diplomacy failed. It also failed in Afghanistan. About all the talk about transitioning out of America's longest war, and U.S. troops had to flee Afghanistan overnight. American diplomacy failed with North Korea as well. 2 big summits later, North Korea is still launching missiles. And then we have Iran. Biden has been in office for 16 months. How many more rounds of talks before there's finally a deal? And how many more failed diplomatic attempts before America realizes that dialogue only works but both sides are ready to listen, and then you approach it as an equal? China is not a good listener. China does not even believe in diplomacy, it seems. Beijing has its eye set on expansionism, and it has picked aggression as its weapon of choice. The only way to check Chinese expansionism is cooperating with strategic partners and allies. America will never be able to counter China by going back on its words. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.